Welcome back to What If, where we take a look at some of the wild comics from Marvel's What If line and DC's Elseworlds titles. I'm Dylan, and today we are reading What If issue 22 from 1980, which asks the question, what if Dr. Doom was a hero? This is a fun one that has some interesting parallels to some more modern stories, so let's get into that and more. Uatu, the all-seeing watcher, once more stares through the shroud that separates our reality from that which might have been. He sees a young Victor Von Doom leaving Latveria shortly after his mother and father's murder at the hands of the land's corrupt baron. Years pass, and Victor finds himself in America. Walking into his university dorm room, he discovers Reed Richards shuffling through his notes for an experiment to transport his spirit to the netherworld. In our world, Von Doom would yell at Richards with fervor, chasing the young scientist away. This display of arrogance would lead to Victor's experiment going wrong, scarring him to the bone and creating the megalomaniacal supervillain, Dr. Doom. Yet in this world, under Uatu's watch, Victor steps outside himself in an instant of curiosity. Heeding Reed's words, the two set off to perform the experiment as partners. Later, after the two geniuses corrected Victor's equations, the experiment is readied. Reed throws the switch and watches as— wait, hold on, does Reed have the gray temples in this panel? Oop, little art error there. Anyway, Reed throws the switch and watches as Victor's spirit leaps from his body. As the spirit sails through an unbound universe of madness, he begins to hear a familiar voice which calls out to him in torment. Victor! Victor! The voice wails in pain. As soon as Reed sees Victor's spirit return to his body, he turns off the machine, returning the scientist to the physical world. Reed asks Victor if he reached the netherworld, but Doom, rattled, simply states, "I reached hell, Richards. Hell!" He further explains that he heard the crying voice of his late mother, who had been damned there for all eternity after being found guilty of witchcraft. Reed apologizes, but Victor quickly explains that his mother also told him that he is the rightful heir of Latveria. Victor, filled with a new purpose, bids his friend farewell with determination in his eyes. Traveling the globe, Victor begins to search the more shadowy corners of the world. He hunts down the truths of the mystical in yellowing pages and tombs. Eventually, he finds himself scaling the mountains in Tibet. He discovers a group of monks living in the caves there and begins to study with them. They teach him all he needs to know, and soon he surpasses their knowledge, becoming their new master. The monks forge Von Doom a suit of golden armor filled with all of the technological devices of his own design. He dons it along with a helmet fit for a noble knight of old and declares, "From this moment on, men shall know me only as Doom." So not Dr. Doom. I guess he didn't get his PhD in this reality. Now clad in his golden armor, Doom flies away, traveling to a remote cave where he begins a spell. Using his newfound magic, he begins to mix chemicals within a cauldron, calling out to the other side. "I defy you, Lord of Demons. Command you to obey. I demand that you free the condemned spirit of Cynthia Von Doom. Release her soul for all of eternity from the fiery torments of your unholy domain," he chants. The cave begins to fill with the energies of the demonic realm, and soon Victor begins to make out the face of his mother in the smoke. She calls out for him once more, but this time in a soothing voice. She is freed. With his mother's spirit free, Doom steps from the shadows of the cave, bathing in the light of the sun on the mountain. His mission is not done yet, however. For now, he must claim his throne as the rightful heir of Latveria. Meanwhile, in Hell, someone else senses that a soul is missing from his domain. Mephisto sits on his throne and pushes aside the demons that caress him. Offended that a puny mortal has taken what's rightfully his away from him, Mephisto commands his dark magic to reveal the culprit. He sets his sights on Victor Von Doom, shouting, "Doom shall pay for what he has dared to do, and it will be the very tragic flaw I sense within his mortal spirit, which shall bring him crashing to his downfall." Back on Earth, Doom flies over the small kingdom of Latveria, looking down upon a land unchanged in his absence. The villagers toil in the fields beneath the rule of an unjust man. Doom flies toward the Latverian castle to confront the man who now sits on the throne. Inside, Prince Rudolfo is met with a man cowering before him. The simple farmer cannot pay his taxes, for his wife is sick and needs medicine. Death and taxes, am I right? Prince Rudolfo, uncaring as ever, has little sympathy for the man and orders him imprisoned in the dungeons. Suddenly, however, Doom arrives, crashing through the wall. "What is wrong, Rudolfo? Do you not recognize the Avenger who will free all of Latveria from your tyrannical reign?" he demands. The prince orders his guards to attack, but Doom makes quick work of them, using his staple combination of science and witchcraft. He blasts left and right and turns this guy into a frog. One of the guards opens fire, but Doom uses his energy shield to deflect the bullet, which in turn ricochets into Prince Rudolfo. Doom swiftly offers aid to the leader, not wishing him to die, but Rudolfo spits on the helping hand and passes anyway. Assuming the throne with seemingly no opposition, Victor travels down to the dungeons where he frees the unjustly imprisoned that were once his people. There, he finds Valeria, his childhood love, and they share a kiss. Time passes as Doom brings his technology and just rule to the people of Latveria. The kingdom flourishes as he marries Valeria, ushering in an era of peace unheard of before his return. Also, I want to quickly highlight this strange interaction here. This lady says, "What a handsome couple they make. Just think, Hans, someday you." But then she's interrupted by Hans, her son, who says, "Aw, mama, I'll never marry any girl." What does this mean? Is Hans gay? Is this some strange 1980s reference that my feeble mind can't understand? Why does he look like he's about to hatch a plot to kill his new king? Seriously, if I'm missing something here, please tell me in the comments. Anyway, creepy murder children aside, after the wedding, the newly married couple are driven through the village street, leaving for their honeymoon. But suddenly, a cold wind blows, and everything begins to disappear. Doom stands on what can only be described as an asteroid, looking out on a desolate landscape. Responding to a shrill voice in his head, Doom demands to know where he is, and what's been done with his beloved Valeria. Mephisto reveals himself, mocking Doom. He holds up a Brainiac-style crystal ball with Latveria trapped inside. "Your precious country, along with all of its inhabitants, still exists, Von Doom. Though suspended in time and space in this hell-spawned globe," he cackles. Doom questions why Mephisto would do this, and the Demon Lord explains that Doom stole a soul from him, so now he shall keep the souls of his entire country as retribution. The sorcerer lashes out at Mephisto, trying to use his magic and technology to expunge the demon, but Mephisto is too powerful, and after toying with the hero for a time, knocks him to the ground. Standing over him, Mephisto finally offers a new deal. He will return Latveria to the realm of Earth, but only in exchange for the soul of Valeria. Doom cradles his head in his hands, crying out for his lost love, but Mephisto cackles louder, quickly altering the deal further. He proposes two options. Either Doom submit his beloved soul, or his own. An eye for an eye! Mephisto, satisfied with this realm of torture, wonders whether Doom will choose love or pride. The weight of the decision weighs on Doom. He loves Valeria with all his heart, but should his brilliance be removed from the world too soon, who knows what damage could be done. Finally, he decides. "The world must not be deprived of Doom," he tells the demon, removing his helmet. With these words, the world begins to appear again, and Doom finds himself once more in the car, traveling down the main street of the village. His guards question what happened to his new wife, but Doom, in a state of emotional distress, flocks to his castle to be alone. Years pass as Doom continues to rule Latveria, yet now he is usually found lurking in his castle, a sort of recluse. Legends prevail, however, that on Midsummer's Eve, Doom locks himself away in the dungeons, trying to replicate the spell that freed his mother's soul from Mephisto's domain. Each year, he fights against the demons that guard Mephisto for the soul of his love, Valeria, and each year, he fails. Exiting the dungeon once more, he reaffirms his vow to his beloved. He failed her once, and he will not stop until he can right that wrong. "Perhaps next year," Doom's humble servant Boris mutters as his king shuffles off into his quarters. So that's What If issue 22. I actually really like this story. It starts off kind of slow, but that Mephisto stuff toward the end is just pure gold. I love the analysis on Doom's character here. Even in a world where he's a hero, his arrogance and pride is still so strong that something he believes will help the world is the very thing that would damn him to a lifetime of essentially doing nothing. So by choosing himself over Valeria, not only does she not get to live, he's also stuck in a routine of constant failure thanks to his own arrogance. It's really good stuff. Also, for those that don't know, this idea of Doom being a good guy was something that was played with a few years ago in the mainline continuity. Basically, after Secret Wars, a story where Doom also sort of played the hero from a certain point of view, Doom came back reformed to an extent. His acts as God King, or God Emperor, whatever you want to call it, during Battleworld left him feeling unfulfilled, so he decided to become a force for good instead of an agent of absolute power. Filled with some kind of turning over a new leaf juice, Doom went to his longtime adversary Tony Stark to offer his help, and after a whole mess of misunderstanding and civil warring, Stark ended up in a coma. Because of this, Doom, arrogant as ever, but still believing himself to be a good guy, decided to assume the Iron Man mantle. It was also around this time that Mephisto got pissed off at Doom's new lease on life and started to torment him with a demonic imitation of his mother. Of course, eventually Doom returned to Latveria, and his throne coaxed him back to his old ways of bad guyness. Most of that happens in the pages of Bendis' Invincible and Infamous Iron Man runs, which they're overall a pretty fun time. I recommend them. I love that no matter what, Doom's pride seems to be his main motivating factor, whether it be used for good or evil. I also find it interesting that in this comic, this What If comic, and in Infamous Iron Man, Mephisto and Doom's mother are both used as key figures. I really supremely doubt that Bendis used a 30-something-year-old comic as inspiration for his run, especially considering that it's Bendis, but it's a fun coincidence at the very least. The universe presented in this What If comic is also another one-off universe that hasn't been touched on since. Perhaps in the future we'll get a sequel where Doom is finally successful and releases Valeria's soul. Maybe he gets off his ass and actually does something with his life, who knows? Probably not, but hey, that's comics. If you've got any suggestions for future episodes of What If, let us know in the comments. And be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Comicstorian to see videos like this early. It also just generally helps out the channel a ton and makes sure we can keep making content for you guys. And you can get your name on this list that's scrolling if you pay a certain amount. It's one of the tiers, I'm not sure which. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.